It's almost 2026, and your feed must look like a countdown timer. Build an agent in 60 minutes, build an agent in 30 minutes, build it in 5 minutes. But today, what we're going to do is skip those gimmicks, build something real. We are going to build a deep research agent using BAML. I would also say that Deep Research Agent was one of the first production ready agents out there, and these companies released that in a span of a few months. All these companies released their own Deep Research Agent. So if you go to ChatGPT and if you click at the bottom, you have a choice to select Deep Research and you can put a query in and you can see how it works. It goes, looks for sources, tries to find an answer to your query, then it realizes, oh, the sources are not enough. And then it'll go look for more sources that would answer your query, and it is satisfied with the answer that it's giving you. So yeah, we are going to build that today. First, we'll break down what an agent actually is, because fundamentals are important. Then we'll talk about why agentic AI is the it girl of the tech industry right now. And then we'll go over the tools that I'll be using when you're building the deep research agent. Let's start with the basics. An AI agent is a system that doesn't just respond, it acts. For example, if you go to a chatbot, you ask it a query, it gives you an answer. That's about it. But with an AI agent, it's able to plan, take actions, and also remember. There are 4 components to an AI agent. Planning is when it's able to break down a complex task into smaller pieces that it can work on. Memory is when it's able to remember the conversation, it's able to remember what has happened till now, and is able to take actions based on that. Then you have the autonomy. Autonomy is when it's able to decide, okay, whatever I have till now is not enough. I have to make a tool call. Or maybe I have to go and ask the user for more details before I go do something else. So it's making decisions there and it's able to do it by itself. Then you have the tools. So the tools could be any skill that you give to the agent. For example, it can call the weather API. It can go and ask the user. That's also a skill that you're giving to the agent. So any skill that you provide to the agent are the tools that it can use to respond better to the user. That think, act, observe loop is the heartbeat of every agent. And that is what converts an LLM from a text predictor to a problem solver. So why is everyone talking about agents in late 2025? Because they are the bridge between chat and execution. Early LLMs could only respond to prompts, but now they can browse, call APIs, chain tasks to actually get work done. Every major AI company, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, is investing in this shift. AI agents power deep research, workspace assistants, and code companions. For developers, this is no longer optional. Companies are looking for people who are able to build AI agents, evaluate them, debug them. Hiring managers are looking for these skills, and these companies are paying top dollar for these skills. By the way, if you're wondering whether you're getting paid what you deserve, stop guessing. I am linking a salary analyzer, which will show you exactly where you stand in today's market. It also breaks down the skills that you need to reach the next salary band. Also gives you a personalized roadmap. Just drop your resume into the tool, and by the time this video gets over, you would know where you currently stand and how you're going to get to your full potential. We'll be using 3 core tools today. One of it is BAML. BAML is a language to work with LLMs. It helps you get structured outputs out of the LLMs and also lets you play around with the prompts, see which ones are working better, and also helps you switch between the models and see the token count right from your ID. The second one is SERP API. It's just to do Google searches. So you can use any other API that you find suitable to do Google searches. Then the third one is OpenAI. So we're using the OpenAI models, but you can use any other models, just need to put the API key into the code. Together, these give your agent reasoning, research, and execution power, just like what powers ChatGPT's deep research agent. But before we start building, let's talk about a misconception. Most people think knowing tools makes them good engineers. That's just like saying a painter can be a good painter just because they know a lot about brushes and canvas. Tools are important, but what's important is mastering the fundamentals and using that to build hands-on projects. You can spend months learning agentic AI or cut that time into half with a structured program by Interview Kickstart, where you actually build and ship 2 AI agents into production with a mentor from FANG guiding you through every step. It's called Agentic AI Career Boost Program. And if you think it's just another generic course, spoiler alert, it's not. It's customizable depending on your domain. Engineers, you have a Python-based AI engineering path. If you're a PM or a manager, you take no-code, low-code use case path. And both paths could be paired with FANG interview prep for AI-driven roles. But the best way to learn more about this program is through the free webinar. Here you can get all the details about the program, ask your questions, and see if it's the right fit for you. And if it is, you'll be joining a company of 25,000 professionals who have already leveled up through Interview Kickstart. Many now at FANG, Anthropic, OpenAI, already crossing 300K plus. And here is what some of them say. I'll put the link to the free webinar in the description as well as pin it in the comments so you don't miss it. See you all there. Okay, so we will be moving between these three screens today for the demo. So for the first screen, I just wanted to go over the deep research agent once more before we dive deeper into it. But I just want to differentiate between what your experience with ChatGPT is like and how deep research mode is different from the usual ChatGPT mode. Okay, so usually when you go to ChatGPT, you put a query in, you get a response back. But in the deep research mode, this is what it looks like is happening in the background. So you put a query in, and this is the agentic system that's working in the background. It has access to the tool, which is the search tool, and it has the autonomy to make the decision of calling the search tool how many ever times it needs to get you the answer. And it has the reasoning capability to make those decisions. So you have the search tool. It based on the query, it makes the search. It reads whatever it got back from the search, and then it reasons over it. It tries to figure out if it makes sense. Do I need to get more information? Is this enough context for me to answer the user's question? And based on that, it decides, okay, I'm going to go do more searches. It'll decide the query that it has to use for the search and then get the results back and then again reason over it. So it can keep going over that loop. And once it's satisfied with all the context that it retrieved to answer the user's query, it would stop this loop, summarize the answer, send it back to the user. So if you would have seen or used this in ChatGPT or any of the other products, you would also see like they would provide the answer along with the citations. So you can see all the sources that it would have gone through. And it takes a while. So it like runs for like 10 to 15 minutes. So you can actually see it live as well. You can see like it making searches. It must have gone through like 18 sources. You would mostly see it going through Reddit. So Reddit is one of the sources that S rely a lot on. So yeah, that's something to like notice about like what's happening in the background. Okay, so this is one screen. Let's move to the second screen. So I want to go with this flow diagram before we get into the code. So because it might get a bit complex, so we want to break this down into pieces, and then we'll try to understand how we're using BAML and how we're defining everything. But basically, like I said in the beginning, there is a search tool that we give access to the model, and then we ask the query, and the model reasons over the query, decides I'm going to do a search, and then reasons over the context that gets retrieved from the search, and then like decides, am I going to do more searches, or am I going to like summarize and give the answer back to the user. So basically, let me try to zoom in. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is where we are starting. We are starting with our agent. When the agent starts, we initialize a state with the user input, and we also have a counter. So I have put the counter there because like if you leave the agent to decide how many more times it has to run the loop, it would just keep running. Sometimes that happens. So these are like guardrails that you can put around your agentic system to make it more reliable. So in this case, we have put a counter, which is called the current step counter. So initially it's 0. And then let's scroll down. There's a while loop. So basically this is a loop within which we call the tools. So in this case, the tool that it has is the search tool. So we get into the while loop. We increment the counter because we have to like count every time we go over the loop, right? And then we check if the counter is beyond the maximum number of steps. For example, if the maximum number of steps are 6, I can only run the loop like 6 times. I'm just giving the agent the capability to run the search loop only 6 times. It'll check if it's beyond 6. It's going to be like, if it's beyond 6, it's going to be like, okay, stop this. And we're going to respond to the user. But we'll get into that. But basically, this is a check if the current step counter is beyond the maximum steps allowed. Okay, so it checks that here, and based on no or yes, it goes to the next step. So if the current step count is greater than the maximum steps, it's going to be yes. And then what it's going to do is append time tracker message to the state. So basically, what's happening is there is this state that is getting shared between the different agents. So here you have an assistant to whom you actually ask the query. The assistant, based on the query, decides I'm going to do a search. When it gets a response back from the search, it has the choice to go to a supervisor to ask, like, does this all make sense? Should I respond to the user? And based on the supervisor's response, it's going to decide, should I go do more searches or should I respond to the user? The other role that is there in the system is, so one is the assistant role, the other one is the supervisor role, the third role is the time tracker role, which has been given a lot of priority. So if it's like beyond, like the current step counter is beyond the maximum steps, the time tracker rule would add a message to the state, which is shared among all these different rules. And what that message would say is like, we are beyond the number of steps, it's time to reply to the user. If it's not, it would like go through the normal steps. So now based on like this yes or no, we call invoke the function, which I'm going to go over in the code. But these are the actions that it can take. So the action could be like doing a search, replying to the user, or thinking. Thinking is when it invokes the supervisor. And the supervisor, based on like the context and the conversation till now, decides, okay, we're going to ask this assistant to go do more searches, or we're going to ask the assistant to reply to the user. So these are the three action types that could be chosen between. And replying to the user is basically the end state. And that is when we like come out of the loop. Otherwise, like when you do a search, you execute the search tool. In our case, it's the SERP API, and append the search result to the state. So if you have understood till now, what you would understand is like state is what is the common thread which is getting shared between every role. That is where everyone appends. And every role has a privilege. For example, the time tracker role has the highest privilege. When the time is up, then everybody is like, okay, it's time to reply to the user. And these are like the three action types. So you do a search, you reply to the user when the whole loop ends, or you do more thinking, like you invoke a supervisor and talk to the supervisor. Okay. So this is the flow diagram. We can come back to this as we are going through the code, but let's go to the code. So we're using BAML for this deep research agent. There are two files that are most important in this code base. One is this agent.py file. This is like the main file. So like we were talking about the whole loop, that is what is defined here. And then you have the main.baml file. And this is where like each of those different actions are defined. So example, reply, it's the action is reply to the user, and this is what it does, reply to the user once we have completed once we have the complete result. And I have spelled it wrong. Yeah. And then this is how you know the code is not AI generated. And then you have the search action. So search the web for the best options. So it's very important that you describe your actions very well. So the LLM knows how to choose between the different actions. So this is like one of the things. That's why I'm going over each one of them very clearly. Then you have the think action, which is like signal the need to consult the supervisor with the given query and the context. And the context is basically like the state. Context is conversation history till now. Okay, so there are two main functions. So these are the actions, and these are the two main functions. One is the chat function. This is our assistant. The assistant chooses between like should I do a search? Should I reply to the user? Or should I go and talk to the supervisor? So we have defined an assistant and a supervisor because I just wanted to make it more complex, I would say. But I wanted to show you like I can also optimize the cost of my agent. My assistant is less intelligent than my supervisor. For example, if you see here, like I'm using a GPT-4o mini for my assistant, and I'm using a GPT 4.1 for my supervisor. So I'm using a more complex model because the supervisor like sits over this assistant and is the one who goes through the high level thinking. And assistant is the one like doing the search. So here in the prompt, I'm just saying you're an assistant helping a user with their query. Your goal is to provide the best possible answer by using the tools available to you. And you have the tools that are available. I'm again defining those. And then the conversation flow start by using search web tool to gather initial information. After the search, use a think tool. Your supervisor will provide feedback. And like based on that, like you go and do the next task. Output format, your output should be in a single flat JSON object. Do not add any explanations, blah, blah. So this is where I'm like filling out all the information, like this is the state that I get. So it's a dynamic prompt. So we have defined the static piece, and this is where the dynamic piece comes in, where like all the state information till now, like the assistant had said this, the supervisor has said this, so all of that comes in here. The same goes for the thinking as well. So you have the thinking function, and again here we have defined the prompt. It's a more complex model, GPT 4.1. We have defined the prompt. You are a supervisor to an assistant that is helping a user with a query. You have the following context, blah, blah, the conversation between the assistant, user, and potentially you. And this is the context, again, like dynamic, it's getting filled in. Your role is to guide the assistant. If the assistant has gathered enough information, tell it to like synthesize the findings and instruct it to reply to the user. Always listen to the time tracker role. So this is how we are like given the time tracker role the most privilege. So when it goes through the state and it sees the time tracker has said like it's time, you should not do more looping, it would ask the assistant to go reply to the user. Okay, this is where we have defined the different roles. So you have the user role, that is me asking a query. Then you have the assistant, you have the supervisor, and you have the time tracker. So like in the state is basically like the memory of the conversation. So it would be like user asked this, user asked where's the McDonald's, and then the web search. And then the supervisor said go do more web searches. So it'll like keep adding those into the memory. Okay, that's till now. I'm gonna go over this stuff later. Let's go into the agent.py file. So the agent.py file is basically the main function, the whole loop that we talked about earlier in the flow diagram. That is what the gets search results runs step agent. Okay, so something else to remember is also the .env file. .env file is where I've defined the keys. I'm going to disable these after this recording. But basically, this is where you define your key. So if you're using any other model, like if you're using any of the Claude models, like put your API key here. Or if you're using any other Google search as well, you can put your key here. And then you go into the agent.py file. So it might look a bit more complex than usual, but it's basically because I've put the Streamlit code in here, and that is for just defining the front end so that it's easier for us to like chat with our agent. But basically, this is the main function run agent step. Here I've defined the maximum number of steps are equal to 4. And then this is where it's like check if the maximum steps have reached. And if the maximum number of steps have reached, the time tracker adds this message into the state. So like I was telling before, like it would have user, query, it would have assistant, whatever. So here it would have time tracker, the role, and like the content would be maximum processing steps reached, time to reply to the user. The next thing that happens here, so this is the step that we talked about right here, append the time tracker message. This is what we did right now. The next thing that happens is here. This is what we came here. This is exactly what we're doing right now. This step. This is where it chooses between the 3 actions that it has to take. And if it's a search action, this is what happens. If it's a search action, it's calling the get searched results function with the query. We'll go over the functions as well. But this is what happens when it happens when it's a search action. If it shows a think action, it's gonna do this. It's gonna use the query and the context and send it to the b.thinking. Then if it's a reply action, it is gonna add the role assistant and it's gonna add the message. Otherwise, it's just an unknown state. So display chat messages from history. Okay, so this is where we get into the loop and we start calling this. So while I is less than, this is getting more complex. Okay, let's get into the agent.py file. Let's get into the agent.py file. So you need to have a .env file. This is where you will define your SERP API key as well as the OpenAI key. So if you're using any other model, like any of the Claude models, make sure you define the key and you're using it correctly. But this is where the whole loop happens that we were talking about earlier, this one. And I'm gonna like show you like what means what in the code. But basically, right now for the query, we are looking for Pilates school based in Vancouver, Canada, which have valid credentials in US. Like I'm really interested in Pilates. So this is the query I've chosen. But you can like, do any of the queries that you're interested in. Like it's a generalized agent. But this is our whole loop. We have defined the agent here, the role. So what it does is, this is the message. This is the first query that's going in. So it would just append that into the state. So the role would be user and it would append the message here. Then in our case, we have defined the maximum number of steps as 6. So it would start the counter, which is the current step counter. In our case, it starts with 0, obviously, and then the maximum step is 6. And here the while loop would start. So the while loop is what we were talking about right here. So while true, and you would increment the step. The first thing you do is increment the step, and then you check if the current step counter is beyond the maximum number of steps. So we have come to this stage. So we incremented the current counter, and then we are checking if it's beyond 6 steps. So in this case, if it has reached the maximum number of steps, it should generate a summary. So if it has reached that, what it'll do is, into the state, it will add a message from the role time tracker saying maximum processing steps reached. And since we've given it the most privilege by putting it in the prompt for the other 2 agents, they would know, like, if that's the case, it's time to reply to the user. Okay, so now we have come to this, and this is the state here. So this is where we call the chat function. So if we go back, what we've defined in the main.baml file, remember this function? This is what we're doing here. We're calling this function here. So we're calling this function and we're giving it the state. So it'll see the conversation that has happened till now. And it would decide what action to call. And based on that action, it would do those calls. So if the action that comes out of that function is a search action, it's going to do the search query. So it's just going to call the get search results function. If the action is the think action, so you remember the thinking one that we defined b.thinking. So remember this one right here, the supervisor. It would ask the supervisor what to do next. And then if the action is reply, just like reply to the user, and that's where the loop ends. And the get search results that we're using above, this is the function right here. Let me close for a second so it's more visible. Yeah, so the get search results function, it's this. It's just like calling the SOAP API with the query and getting the results back. The thing function is basically calling the supervisor agent with the query and the context. So that's about it. It's pretty simple. So what you have is supervisor, you have the assistant. Assistant decides to ask the supervisor, that's the thinking function. Assistant decides to reply to the user, that's where the loop ends. And the assistant decides to do a search query, that's where your SOAP API is called. And that is your get search results function. And we define everything here. So let's go back to the main.baml file. And I want to go over the test. So I said earlier that I'll go over this. So this is the advantage of using BAML. Since working with LLMs is very different from doing typical software engineering, because these are not deterministic. It's all probabilistic. Like, I ask the same prompt to ChatGPT and it would give me a different answer every single time I ask it. So if we want to get structured output out of these LLMs so that we can call other functions, we need to use a framework, a library, to make sure like we get structured output as expected and our code can run with it. So it's important to define tests so that you can like check that structured output. For example, my output should contain the word Pilates, or maybe the output should have those keys and those values so that I can call another function. So this is what I mean by structured output. And here, this is just like example test cases, which obviously would fail. It's just because, okay, in this test case, what we're doing is test chat initiate search. So when I give it a query, like I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, blah, blah, but would be moving to US soon. I want to sign up for the Pilates class to learn and become an instructor. I do not want to focus on, it's a big query, but basically like look for schools, make sure their credentials are valid in the US. So what I'm seeing is like when I give this query to this chat system, does it do the first thing it does is to search the web or not? That's the first thing that I'm checking. The second thing I'm checking is the search that it does, is it using this query? Obviously, it wouldn't use that query, but like when you click on run test, this is the advantage of using BAML. When you define these tests, you can open the BAML. If you have the BAML extension installed in your IDE, it would open something like this, you know. It'll say that the user said this, and you can like run the test and it'll give you the output. It says that query is correct, assertion failed, which obviously makes sense. But it's doing the search web. So if you see what the room output is, this is the room output. And it does not match what we were expecting, obviously. Best mat Pilates. The output was best Pilates instructor trainings. That is the search that it's doing. But you can run your test case here. You can also do a lot of other things. So for example, so you can like switch between it's just showing you all the tests that are defined that you can run. I can also switch between different models as well. Right now, it's just showing this. Here you can define the here you can define the different API keys. For example, if I define the Anthropic API key, like I can run the same prompt or the same query with that model. So this is like the advantage. Like you can run all, like you can change all of this right from the ID and play around with the system. Let me see what else I want to show you guys. So resume curl. This is what the curl command looks like. This is what the graph looks like. This is how many tokens character. You can see this as well, like how many tokens went into the system. So like if you want to optimize a query so that it doesn't cost too much. So like these are like things that you can do from here. It's very useful because these systems, like if you want to like quickly iterate on stuff, this is really useful. You can run like the other test as well, run the test and see the output. So these are things you can do. But anyway, I'm going to close it for now. And yeah, these are like test cases I defined just to like play around with. And you would find this in the code. It would all be linked and you can play around with it, try a different query that you need. But yeah, this is what we have. Going back to the flow diagram, you have an agent, a while loop. For example, we showed here like a loop that keeps running till it decides, okay, it's time to answer to the user. So it comes out. So this is where it comes out when it answers to the user. Otherwise, it'll do a search call or like go and ask the supervisor. And supervisor would be like, okay, did you see that the time tracker said it's like our time is up? And it would be like, okay, yeah. And it'll reply to the user. So this is what it looks like. So let's try running it. Let me switch between. Let me add the Streamlit code. Sorry. Let me add the Streamlit code so that we can see a nice interface that we can work with. Okay. Can you guys see this? Okay. So let's say, hello. Find me the best pizza place in Vancouver. I love New York style pizza, but I'm vegetarian. So I asked my query. I'll show you the different icons that we're using. So one is for the assistant, the other one is for the supervisor. So you can see the agent's internal work. That all comes inside the boxes. So it did some searches. So this is the supervisor icon that you see. This is the agent, the assistant icon. So if you see the top one, that's the assistant icon. This is a supervisor saying you've gathered a good set of potential options from initial search, but there are a few areas that need clarification. So the assistant is going and doing like more searches. They can see all the links. Then the supervisor is like, you've now collected a focus list of New York style pizza. This is the search result for New York style vegetarian pizza places. Once you've gathered this info, you'll have everything you need to synthesize. So it went and did some more searches. Then the supervisor is like, next steps for each of the following, please look up the most recent online menus. So the time tracker said maximum processing steps reached. So it figured that it has to reply. And yeah, here is the reply. So this is the stuff inside the box is what's happening internally, like them talking to each other. And what comes out is what me as a user can see. So in my front end, I have designed it such that I can see all the internal work, but you don't necessarily have to design it such. But yeah, so this is what I was meaning to say by the state. So this is what I can see in the state. And they can also see this in the state. Like in the state, it would be like the assistant said this. Then the supervisor looks at that and like adds its own thing. Then the assistant looks at both those things and decides whatever. And then the supervisor adds its own thing. And then like the time tracker comes at the very end as like, okay, we have been through like these many steps. It's time to reply. So once the time tracker has said something and you see there are no replies anymore, they reply to the user. And that's your deep research agent built from scratch. Try the free AI salary analyzer linked below to see where your compensation stands in 2026. And if you're serious about breaking into the top 1% of engineers, check out the Agentic AI Career Boost free webinar, link in the description, and like and comment if you want more such videos, and add in the comments what you want me to build next. See you in the next webinar.